We've refactored our controller code to achieve a cleaner separation of concerns. The controller code will call a getProductSingle function, passing in the SKU of the product to the model. Let's next write that function in our model code. Open products.php in your text editor. This model file contains all our code related to data. Let's scroll down to the bottom, pass our getProductsAll function, and write our new getProductSingle function. This function will receive one argument, the SKU. It's a really good practice to write the comments for new functions when you create them, to make sure you don't forget to do it and to help make sure you understand exactly what the function should do. This function will return an array of product information for the one product that matches the SKU. It returns a Boolean false if no product matches the SKU. Inside this function, we'll start by including the database. Inside this function, we'll start by including the database file to create a PDO object named DB. Next, we'll want to run a query. We'll start with a try-catch block. In the try block, we'll want to execute our query. We'll type the same query here as before. Right now, this will retrieve all the products from the database. We don't want that though. We only want to retrieve one product, the product that matches the SKU. We can limit the number of results returned by the query using a where clause. After the name of the table, we can add the keyword where. We can then add a statement that will limit the results, something like this. Instead of returning all the products like before, this query will now return only those products with a SKU equal to 108. In our database, that will be just one product. We'll want to use the SKU variable containing the argument passed into the model by the controller, but there's a big security issue we'll need to talk about first. For now, let's finish building out this whole function using a hard-coded 108 value. As we saw before, the query method returns a PDO statement object, and we can load that into a variable named results. If there's a problem with the query, code in this catch block will get executed. We can echo out the same message we've been using. We should have the result of the query inside our results object. After the try-catch block, we can load that data from the results object into a variable called product. Since we only need to fetch one record, we don't need to use PDO's fetchAll method. We can instead use the fetch method to get just the columns from the first row. We'll use the same fetch style we used with fetch all to pull back just the associative keys in the array. Look back at the PDO class documentation if you have any questions about this fetch method or fetch style. The fetch method works even if you have multiple results. In that case, it will return the first of the results. We're only expecting one, so the first one that gets fetched will of course be the only one. Now that we have this array of information in a product variable, we can return it back to the controller. We shouldn't have to change the view, and the shirt detail page should load now. Let's take a look in the browser to confirm that. Of course, it will always show shirt 108 since that value in our query is hard-coded. We'll still need to get size information in the database so that we can load this drop-down here. We'll take care of both of those next. Our shirt detail pages have now been more or less restored. We have the model code, view code, and controller code all wired up together, retrieving data from the database for one shirt. We need to modify the model code to use the SKU it gets from the controller code, but we'll need to talk about another serious topic first: SQL injections.